To me, my X-Men.
Hey there, and thank you for clicking on that video. You have come to the Omega Level Nerd Show. Myself, Don. With me, of course, is J100. How is it going, sir?
What's going on? I'm good, man. Yeah, a lot of new stuff that I'm excited about, and a lot of stuff that I'm not not too excited about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had a very fun last, I guess, couple hours, if you will, and
Yeah.
just thinking about those things and trying to get some gaming done before I start my new position. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right along there with you. I mean, particularly today, which we're going to start off with the X-Men 97. First two episodes of that dropped. Then we had, again, we'll touch on this later, in Star Wars in general, we had the Bad Batch. The 8th episode of season 3 dropped for that. And then, of course, yesterday, maybe the day before, it doesn't really matter, but the Acolyte trailer came out to much fanfare, as well as other stupid bitching by people. But we'll get into all that, because I'm so excited, especially now that it's out, it's here. We have the first two episodes of X-Men 97, and I watched that on my lunch break. So both episodes are each about half hour. So took a little bit of an extra lunch break there to watch those episodes. And I guess spoiler free for anyone that hasn't seen it yet. Just, I mean, real quick for me, I loved it. I loved it a lot. There's a lot of great stuff to talk about. I have very few complaints. So, as the sort of X-Men fan that I am, this is the most awesome X-Men thing certainly going right now. But, definitely it stays, with the quality of the original series, actually more so, to be quite honest with you. The animation is way better. So there goes that. Well, what did you think, John? I know that you like the X-Men, but not necessarily follow it. So I'm just kind of interested to hear your thoughts.
I've been kind of information loading a bunch of X-Men stuff. So as far as like some of their adventures and some of the comic book storylines and stuff like that, I'm getting kind of hip to. And I guess for my spoiler free, I would say that I thought it was great. I think it's great as well. And I've been doing a lot of, because again, I do a lot of film analysis videos of all different types and all different random movies and things such as that, right? So I'm trying to say that like I'm a director now and I know, and no, I'm not trying to say any of that. I'm just trying to say that like I'm starting to notice things, common themes, tropes, story, ways stories are done, this, that, and the third. And the one thing that I guess I've always been good at, outside of seeing it from like a cinematic or storytelling point of view, is understanding the subtext and what we're actually watching, what the story is actually telling us behind the boom boom pow pow. Because the boom boom pow pow is just the vehicle for what the story is actually trying to tell us. And the more that I read X-Men as a one-to-one counter narrative to the world that we live in, which is what X-Men is based off of, even Asteroid M and all those other things like that, those are allegories to things. Even though they are their own, brand new created story. It's X-Men is a lot more. I mean, I already knew X-Men was deep. I think the reason why I didn't draw to it was too many characters or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. That one didn't really hit me the way that some of the other ones did.
It is a
But
lot
no,
of
it's
characters.
like I said before, I never didn't like it. I just
Yeah.
never got into it. But this is great. It's on track. It's deep. It's even on a from an allegory standpoint, it's deep.
Hmm.
From a storytelling trope uh point, it's well written. So far, I mean, I'm hooked already. I was hooked after the first episode, and then the second
Yeah.
episode. What? Hello, I gotta wait a week? No.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's so much torture. Especially since it's been revealed. Um, I was correct, and what I mean by that is on Superhero Speak, of course, a show that I quite frequent. I of course watch the live stream and comment whatnot. So anyway, there's speculation on the fact that Jean Grey was pregnant, and I knew who the kid was. And you say, well, I'm sure you just because you know the comics, but no, it's not straightforward. But we'll talk more of that in the spoilers. But I'm just happy to report. I guess I'm proud of myself, overly so, that I predicted that it would indeed be Nathan Summers. Outside of that, again, just as far as non-spoiler stuff, again, this is great. You've got to go check this out if you haven't already. The only bad point that I'm going to throw out there is I feel Magneto's voice and look is way more creepy than the original. I like, and I don't mean the costume. I mean, no, because I love that because they did the direct shot from X-Men 200 Trial of Magneto, which I have. So that's always cool when something in your collection is featured in an MCU movie or a show like that. So, but just the way he's drawn, I don't know. The way he's drawn and the voice, I know they got the original actors and whatnot, even though some of them do sound different and for reasons. But that's my only complaint is I just think Magneto's just a little bit better done as far as the look and the voiceover acting in the original series. But not to say this is bad animation at all. It's just obviously an aesthetic choice that I just think is better originally, but not horrible by any stretch of the imagination. So that's really only my my complaint, spoiler free
I get
complaint.
what you mean by that too, because he was very detailed.
Yeah.
A lot of lines on that guy's face.
Right. Yeah.
And then I was watching some Easter eggs afterwards, and seeing. So I was trying to watch it before it came out, and there's
Yeah.
too many episodes, and X-Men just goes, especially the animated show, goes off the deep end really quickly. So as far as like story pace, how I'm feeling, how things I was doing, I'm like, I can't really watch this right now, so I'll watch it later. So I watched like a quick summation of the 5 seasons,
Mm-hmm.
and the artwork in season 5 definitely is,
Yeah.
especially understanding what was going on. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's pretty rough. So I mean, and I think that Magneto's lines are due to that fact that, like, yes, I get what you mean based off of what you were expecting. um I like the new one better on my from my point of view, but then I get why he was the way he was back then too. So it's kind of a hit or miss. I don't really have anything bad to say yet,
Yeah.
because I don't know that I don't there's not the only thing bad that I would have to say is now understanding what X-Men is historically, like throughout its history. The only bad thing that I have to say are the quote unquote fans that clearly have no idea what they're reading. That's
Yeah.
the only thing bad I gotta
Yeah.
say.
Okay. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. By the way, as far as my critique of Magneto's voice and whatnot, that his lines I have no problem with. That shit is bussin', as the kids would say. But
Uh,
yeah. Okay, so we're going full on spoilers, theory, all sorts of conjecture, shit, what have you. So
Spoiler alert! Alert! Alert!
indeed, check back with us here. All right, so first of all, not that this is a spoiler really, so but differences right away in the intro, which they kept. This is actually says I love this because so apparently we learned that in order for Kevin Feige to even let this happen, he said two things have to happen. If these don't happen, it's a no-go. A, we need to get the original voice actors. Check. B, we have to get the rights to the theme song back. Check. So you got the theme song, only obviously revised. I don't know what do you call it, remastered. I'm a music.
Remix.
Oh, there you go, remix. So that was awesome. You got them introducing, at least in the first episode, which is awesome because I think the intro is going to, no pun intended, morph as the show goes on. Because in the first one, the differences are, Storm's got her Mohawk stuff, and we're going to talk about Storm. This fucking show. I love you. I love you, show. Yeah, I know the guy just got let go or fired, and it's real unfortunate because he.
Yeah, I gotta know.
Cooking.
I really don't care about shit like that normally, but I gotta know what they did because if this is how dude is running the show, what are you doing?
So yeah, we'll come back to that. Honestly, I even forgot what the fuck I was saying because I was thinking about how awesome Storm is. Oh yes. So we see Storm's new haircut in the intro immediately. Everything else being the same, which is awesome. Morph is now in the mix in the intro, which he never was before. At least I don't remember. But certainly not Bishop, who that's going to be fun because he's just a member of the team now, which we get. We know why he's stuck here. But I just hopefully we'll see more development by him. Bishop is awesome too. But anyway, so episode 2, after Magneto makes his entrance, then they add Magneto. He's the first one, you see in the entrance. So I'm loving the fact that they've got the old music, but revitalized, remastered, remixed. They've got the same intro basically, but obviously it is changing to the situation of the show and introducing all the mutants, even the new ones. So as far as like just major callbacks to the first series, of which there are many, you can tell that right off the bat. It was just awesome. It gave you that same old feeling. So, I mean, obviously, there's just a lot to unpack here, and I'm not going to go line for line here. I will say, though, Morph, which was a character of controversy since being introduced or announced as non-binary, like that fucking matters. He's awesome. He serves a couple purposes on the show, which I really enjoy, actually. So, obviously, he's comic relief, which is great because it's actually kind of a 180 turn from his character in the original animated series, and again more akin to what I know him more as. I mean, I was really introduced to him to the original animated series, but since then there was a series called Exiles, which it's like 15 years old at this point. But anyway, there's a version of Morph in there that's just really goofy and shit, and we got him. That's who we got. He's making all sorts of jokes. He's turning into other X-Men characters that aren't on the show. Like when he turned into Archangel, when they were all falling from the X-Wing, or not X-Wing, that's Star Wars, we'll talk about that later. Blackbird. And at one point he turned into Colossus, so that was all. It was awesome. Who else? Cyclops. Let me just say, holy fucking shit. I love the way that they're animating his powers. I know he's coming off rough, guys. He's going through some shit right now, but as you see,
a little bit.
Yeah, but you see him starting to get a little bit better as far as not so much Boy Scouty, particularly since Magneto makes him have to take a back seat, which, he is still the field leader. But as far as overall, Magneto's got that, and so just bear with me there. But outside of that, just the way he's using his powers, like I love the way they'll have it like just slide across the floor by shooting his concussive blast. Like they didn't animate that before.
Off the jet when he landed,
yeah,
boy. Yeah. I said, okay, all right, Cyclops. I didn't really like you that much, bro. But listen, that was dope. I like that one. That one was cool. But I mean, I will say that again, reading in the subtext and trying to look at the show really deeply as I'm watching it, especially for this. I appreciate and like how realistic and grounded and logical Scott's being about the transfer of power. Um, I like how cumbersome the weight of the responsibility, the initial weight of the responsibility is for him and on him. And then even with that, going out and doing his duties, performing his job, doing what he's got to do. To me, my X-Men. That scene. I was like, okay, Scott. All right, brother. Listen, I don't really like Cyclops that much, but he made me even perk up and talking about him, on the show tonight. So knowing how gung ho Scott is in general, seeing where he's at now, and seeing the feelings that he's gonna feel in X-Men, especially animated form. This shit about to go 0 to 5,000 in about an episode and a half.
Yeah.
How that particular person is gonna grow is what I'm so very interested in. So great job in making, for myself, this personally, great job in getting me to be completely emotionally invested in a character that I don't even really like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do have to apologize, by the way, because you have a little connection there issue. So some stuff that you said that might get cut off. But yeah, absolutely. There's definitely we're going to see some awesome growth, particularly. And we'll jump ahead a little bit here because obviously the big kind of cliffhanger that we have at the end of these two episodes is the fact that, there they are. Scott and Jean Grey just had their baby, Nathan Charles Summers. And then another Jean Grey comes in, all beaten up, possible hostage situation or whatever went on there. So yeah, we've got two fucking Jean Greys. And so I'm going to have to applaud them for really leaning into some shit with as far as like the really, I don't want to say convoluted, but the really complicated background of Cable, who is Nathan Summers. Because again, if you know the comics or know X-Men history, so basically when Jean died at the end of the Dark Phoenix saga, she died. And Scott Summers just so happens to meet this woman that looks exactly like Jean Grey and has a child, Nathan Summers, with this woman. So they're definitely borrowing from the comics here as far as that is Madeline Pryor. That's her name. And she's a clone of Jean Grey. Again, and so what happens is once Jean Grey comes back, and this isn't Cyclops' greatest moment, but it's weird. Once the real Jean comes back, he leaves Madeline Pryor, and goes back with Jean, and then so Madeline Pryor goes apeshit over this, becomes a Goblin Queen, and it's a whole thing. So,
and you blame him though?
Yeah, I that's I
can't blame him.
Yeah, dude, here's the greatest. One of my favorite things
about Gamora came back,
right?
And he actually got with the other Gamora. All right, well, listen, I'm glad that we were able to make a connection.
Yeah,
but the one that I actually liked.
Yeah, you can't blame him, man. And listen, you got to give credit to Scott Summers, man. The greatest thing about him is the fact that he's able to maintain long-lasting, meaningful relationships with women that are psychic and can read his minds and use telepathy and all that, because he had Jean Grey, and then when she was dead, then the next major relationship he had was with Emma Frost. So dude has existed for decades being in relationship that women can read his mind, and they stay together.
What other way for a Boy Scout though, for real?
Yeah, right.
And then when you got to think about that, he's able to maintain those relationships knowing that fact. So how does he get away? Because he genuinely feels the way that he feels at the time. I don't blame the guy. I get it 100%. And we'll obviously talk about it later, but just as a quick aside, this is what I don't understand about the guys that complain about everything that
Yeah.
has to do with diversity or whatever, because within that diversity still are characters like you. And so relating it to the kind of you know, maybe for lack of a better term, and to, you know, make the point, like the incel type guy that's like, oh, I'm a nice guy, you know, I'm this da da
Yeah.
da da, but then when you get down into it, it gets a little bit weird. Okay, you can put yourself into a Scott Summers. You can relate to a Scott Summers, a guy who can date psychics and make them fall in love with him. Because you know what he has to actually do? Be 100% true every damn day. And
Yeah.
he even
Yeah.
goes through problems. So, and does he, I mean, he kind of loses his mind, but not really.
Sure.
But like, does he lose his mind? Does he go off on killing sprees? Does he do this? Does he do that? There's someone that you can relate to, even though it's not everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? That's the part. That's the point of diversity, is to have representation for us all, including you, not excluding you. You just have to do what we've always had to done. For myself personally, is read through the subtext of characters to find one that I can relate to. Because growing up, they were all white. So how am I supposed to
Yeah.
relate to these characters? That's why when people are like, "Don't you like, you know, War Machine?" No, I don't. Read his character early on in the comics. No, I'm nowhere near close to will ever
Right.
be like
Right.
Colonel James Rhodes ever in my life. No, but Tony Stark, though, that's kind of me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. You can find yourself in these things. This is your time to find yourself and explore. And X-Men is a great way to do it, because there are so many damn characters.
Yep.
Which now, growing up, looking back on it, it was kind of like an error. Like, damn, I should have really got into this earlier on instead of being scared off by how many characters there are. Because again, information overload over here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is amazing series with amazing characters, good, bad, and indifferent. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Fucking yeah, I love everything they're doing. So there's that, you know, there's that dynamic, right? There's that part of the soap opera. We got the Jean Grey, we got the Cyclops, Madeline Pryor. What the fuck's going on there? You know, something's gonna go on with Wolverine. It always like pops off because like he's got a built-in fucking beef with Sabretooth. Like fucking every birthday of Wolverine's, like Sabretooth comes to fuck with him. So we could look forward to that. Obviously, they introduced Sunspot. I don't know, introduced, but he's, you know, obviously a part of this. Um, you know, people will complain about that shit.
About who?
Um, Sunspot, the rich, what is his name, Roberto.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he's homosexual, which
Okay.
is kind of
Well, this
evident.
clearly seems like he's bi, but
What? Right? Yeah, yeah, exactly. You know, listen, I'm not.
if they play that into it, I guess.
Well,
So far,
listen.
he seems straight.
Well, okay. The thing, and I guess maybe because I know the subcontext and I know the character,
Yeah.
but like as soon as he leaves the X-Men, like they have to go to a rave. Remember, this is 1997, okay? So I'm sure these
Right,
people
right.
are on double stack Buddhas, Mitsubishis. And if you don't know that, good for you. If you
Uh,
do,
yeah, yeah.
you know, he's got the, but that's fun. But it's funny because here we're at a rave, and I get it. It's totally fine. You know, it makes sense for the character. So I love the fact that they lean into it, and like Jubilee's like lighting off for fireworks. So just imagine being
Right.
like fucking, you know, zonked out of your mind at a rave, and there's Jubilee
Right.
just fucking.
I would be like, hey, can I just stand by you for a little while and dance to the beat?
But
All right.
that was a fun scene. I'm not about that shit, you know. Obviously, I'm a straight white guy, but what the fuck's wrong with it? It's different people, character progression and development that I could enjoy. I guess I don't know. I could enjoy it for that, and totally seems to work. Again, that's totally. I love how they got the '97 aesthetic. I mean, I saw the cassette Walkman break. Because I was actually questioning that for a bit, like, oh, it doesn't seem that 1997. I mean, yeah, I don't see the cell phones or nothing. Oh, okay, tape recorder broken. Oh, rave. Okay, nope, that's 97. I remember. Um, so good stuff there. I'm trying to think of what else. They're definitely leaning into the Rogue Magneto romance, which I know may be strange to some of you, but that actually is a thing. So there's another soap opera, right? We've got so that's 3 soap operas so far. Yep, and I don't know, like I just love it. And then obviously the whole trial of the Magneto thing. I think it's just really well done.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know its comic book counterpart, but um again, I'm doing the Colbert Report, and what I mean by that is I don't know if you ever saw that show when it was on Comedy Central, but to watch that show, you have to use both of your brains at the same time. You have to understand what he's mimicking and why he's mimicking and what stories he's bringing up and why he's satirizing him the way that he is, and then you got to get the joke and what he's actually saying at the same time.
Right.
And it can be exhausting at times, especially for a guy like me and the things that I believe in. But I had to do that, or I was doing that with X-Men because, again, like I said, information overload. I'm related to the subtext of the whole series, that's the lens at which I'm looking at it. And there is no other way to look at it when you break it down that way. But the trial is literally like, this is why I'm upset. Well, I'm glad that I'm into X-Men now. I'm probably going to get even deeper because of that scene. And the reason why I feel this way is because if you go back and you place who the allegory is in its proper places, he's telling you this is the most woke show I have ever seen in my entire life, and I'm 100% down for it because he's literally telling you. And then for the people that are complaining that the stuff is woke, they are literally shouting your ridiculous bullshit right back at you from these humanists, if you will. They're literally regurgitating the bullshit you say every day right back in your face. And you align with the X-Men? You want them to boom, boom, pow, pow? Like, how do you not understand? I don't get it. And it's weird. Like, now I'm deeply invested in understanding how these type of people see this media. I want to know, written down in a clinical scientific way, how they miss all of these subtext cues.
Yeah.
How?
With working eyeballs and ears, yeah.
The trial was so deep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
yes.
I felt it.
You felt, yes.
Because he's right. I was always on Magneto's side. My thing about it is and even for myself now, we got to take the violence out of it. Because if we don't take the violence out of it, it will never end. If I'm, on the X-Men it, right? I'm on the X-Men side, but I kill the senator's sister by accident or something like that, right? Well, now this family is going to be mad at me forever because I killed the sister. You know what I mean? Whether I did it on purpose or not. And so when you add violence into trying to get these obviously polar opposite groups together, it's just not going to work. But the biggest problem that I have with that is, why doesn't the other side see that everything they do is violent? Like, you don't want us to be violent, but like, you're violent every day, every second of the day, right? So putting that all together, Magneto was always a character that like I really wanted to root for, but he would just go too far. It's kind of the flag smasher, all the other stuff. They always go too far. But
Yeah.
to see him come back and even shed a tear because he knows I want to fuck these dudes up so
Right.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And you didn't know. I thought he
Even
might just do it, but
bro, I thought too. And I was like, damn, you're gonna ruin Magneto on episode 2.
yeah, yeah,
But then they don't. And then ultimately, that's my point again for the bigger global argument. If we wanted to beat you, we probably would have already, especially considering you made it our stereotype. If
yeah,
we're so this,
yeah.
why haven't we lopped you upside your head? Because that's not what we want to do
Right.
in the world and with mutants and humans. That's not what we want. We want to just live. And so you get the boom, boom, pow, pow because you guys won't shut the fuck up. Oh, man.
Yep. Yeah. Love it. I love how deep it went. Because it means so much to me. Because that really is the importance and the foundation of the X-Men property. And yeah, I don't know how people don't see it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the boom, boom, pow, pow. I mean, I haven't even spoke about it yet, but my God, the action scenes in this
Oh,
are
man.
absolutely
Them signals
spectacular.
getting it, boy. Woo!
Yes.
I was like,
They,
do 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 do.
yeah, Rogue's fucking, yeah, particularly Rogue, like she's fucking headlocking them fuckers and body dropping them. So that was a really good choice, I think, to start this series off. Let's just make sure we show the X-Men fucking up some Sentinels. So I felt that the first issue did a really issue. It's an episode, but whatever. I felt it did just a really good job of just showing the X-Men off and showing the teamwork. I think Cyclops particularly got some pretty good glow up in his battles. Just seeing him use his powers in a way that you just normally don't see in an animated show or anything like that. Usually it's just plow plow, but he's just going all over the place. Wolverine, I mean, we've been talking about Wolverine. I mean, don't get me wrong, Wolverine is Wolverine. We talked about him and Sabretooth's eventual beef. Of course, Morph at the end, changed into Sabretooth because he's trying to get Wolverine out of a funk. But it really wasn't the Wolverine show, so that's nice. Just as a longtime X-Men fan, I can tell you a lot of X-Men stuff is just Wolverine, with some side characters. So thought he was characterized perfectly. Okay, so Storm. Fucking Storm. When the Sentinel announced an Omega level threat detected, I was like, that's right, motherfucker. And then when Cyclops, I'm getting tears out of my eyes. I don't give a fuck.
Herself.
Think what you want. When Cyclops told her, he's, give him the forecast.
Right.
And again, I'm a boom boom pow guy, so we're a boom boom pow right now.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Boom boom pow pow is necessary.
She's fucking out in the desert, right? Because that's where they're at. That's where they found this new mother mold. And she's fucking turning it all to glass with fucking lightning. Yep. And then she
Mandalore,
fucking
bitch.
Yeah. yes. It's fucking epic. And she shoots the glass in the fucking Sentinels, and it's just they really laid it on there, and I love every minute of it. But I did come to realize, like, fuck, what's gonna happen to Storm? Because they're doing this proper. They ain't lying, okay? They're not lying. But what's gonna happen, and so eventually what does happen, and this is a comic book storyline, so this is cool that they are going with it. It's actually a big development piece. You mentioned Cyclops developing. We're going to see a lot of Storm development, I think, too, particularly because what I'm saying is that she loses her powers by the end of the second episode. which is a really sad moment, by the way. I thought they did a good job of conveying, just the kind of panic and dread and terror that someone like Storm would feel after, again, being an Omega level mutant, this goddess, and now she can't feel the wind. But yeah, Storm depowered, which again is in line with comic story. So certainly that's just another soap opera that we're going to get to enjoy in this show. So yeah, I love the way what they did with Storm. Not happy about her losing her powers, but again, it is a comic storyline, and they never lose it for good. So I know it's gonna just. I mean, I get it. She has to be Professor X, and what I mean by that is like in X-Men's movies and shit, in shows, like having your leader be this guy that can just fucking make everybody do whatever the fuck he wants. Like there's only like 2 people on the planet. Right. you gotta take him off the board somehow. Okay, right. So he's off the board right now. He's off in the Shi'ar Empire. I mean, I guess I'm projecting there. That's conjecture, but I think that's what it is, because that's what it is in the comics. But yeah, you gotta Professor X her somehow, because otherwise they have no threats. Like if you have Storm that could just do Storm shit, there's no threats. So she gets Professor X. But again, it is following true to source material storyline. So all of that is just fucking awesome and very interesting. And I can't wait, and I'm glad it's here. So any questions you have about X-Men or the show or anything you saw that maybe particularly confused you? Or because the X-Men are confusing.
I want to know comic book wise what happens to Storm, but then I don't. So don't worry about that. I'll just ride that one out.
Okay.
So in the comics, did they do Asteroid M in the comics and Genosha?
Yeah.
So he creates 2 nations basically.
Yeah, although one floats in space, and he basically says anyone that isn't fucking mutant. I guess both places are pretty much better be a fucking mutant.
Yeah, that's what I was.
But yeah, but of course, yeah. Now, great point. Thank you. Like, because through all this, not only does Magneto not go to prison or anything after letting them put him on trial, he gets the island, the mutant nation, island of Genosha, as a UN country. But, right. And I won't spoil it for you, John, I guess a little bit, but Genosha does not exactly have a good ending. There's a tragedy there.
Yeah,
I'll just say that. Yeah. So
I figured as much.
We'll see. I'm glad you took me there, because that's another.
And it's probably going to turn out to be one of those you can see it in your media, but then you can't see it in real life.
Yeah.
Type of things. That's where I'm guessing that goes. That's just my guess.
Yeah.
Magneto turns Genosha into its real world equivalent, which, considering the conversation we had about his backstory, 1-to-1. And that's the reason why Magneto is, I can't. We're gonna get into Star Wars later, but balance. You need both.
Yeah.
I will talk to you. I will try to understand where you're coming from. I will get a diverse group of ideas and this, that, and the third, so we can come up with a better way. But I will slap the shit out you if you test.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like it's both. And so what I ultimately hope, and again, this is what we're talking about, that we need to see media about when the quote unquote good guy or the good coded guys win. And what I mean by that is outside of the normal conceptualization of how the world is. What I mean by the good guys winning is we beat the corporations, we beat the economic system, we beat the bullshit political strife, And how do we then build the world after that? The way we say that we want it. The way we say that if I were to put a microphone, I would walk up in the street right now and put a microphone in your face and be like, okay, so if you could make the world a better place, how would it be? And on the spot, what do you say? Everybody says, oh, everybody gets along. Okay. So in order to do that, this is the bullshit that we got to go through. How do we win this? You know what I mean? That's what I ultimately hope to see. I know it's going to go comic booky and bing, bing, pow, pow. So it's, probably not going to lead to that. But that's what I'm saying. Like you can use an idea of where we are in X-Men right now to then have a what if Magneto really truly works with humanity, what that would look like. I mean, it'd be a boring what if, but I want to see it anyway.
well, I don't. Well, it's not a what if, but not sure if you ever heard of the Age of Apocalypse. It's a famous X-Men storyline where
I don't know what happens, but I know of it.
Okay, so basically, what happens is Charles Xavier he's dead. He gets assassinated, and so in his honor, Magneto takes the head of the X-Men. He becomes the head of the X-Men. This is him and Rogue have a relationship and all that. So, but in that world is the world that Apocalypse takes over. So he in Apocalypse, those Sentinels, the story of the X-Men, is basically, yes, the elimination of mutants, but that someone like Apocalypse, when he takes over the Earth or something like that, eventually Sentinels they're hunting mutants and humans, so it's just Apocalypse. It's just a desolate, fucking land. It was an interesting storyline because they literally stopped everything and inserted this new reality of Age of Apocalypse. It was very jarring back in the day. I can still kind of remember it. So I mean, you definitely see, him working. I mean, I don't know if that's working for humans, but or with humans, but mutants and humans in that particular storyline. They kind of have to work together. Although historically that's not what happens, because per House of X Powers of 10, we the X-Men's big enemy right now in the comics, and has been that way for about 5 years now, is Orchis. It is a group. I mean, it includes Shield, AIM. I mean, just all these humans that are basically come to the conclusion the mutants are going to wipe us out and take over, and we have to destroy them. And so they team up with robots, basically.
I don't mean to cut you off, but like they're saying it out loud, screaming it into your face with the spit and everything. They're telling you what y'all's problem is. And the biggest thing, and then continue, please, is that like mutants, and it's what Mother Mold says, mutants are humans.
Yep.
They're just what's coming next. So instead of being afraid that you're going to not have a future, which you're here now, so you're here presently. You don't know what the future is going to hold anyway, but the future is going to be what these humans are. So embrace it. I don't know. It's just so really weird. I don't know how to think that way, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, and just overall, as far as getting into those alternate storylines, Magneto working with humanity, it's happened, but we'll see. Because I think, conjecture, but pretty strongly here. Other than Madeline Pryor turning into the Goblin King, I know Sinister's got a lot to do with what the fuck's going on. In fact, he's the clone guy.
I noticed this before the Easter egg, and then the Easter egg confirmed it, that when you look at Morph and his little card, Mr. Sinister is in his eyes.
Yeah.
So whenever, I mean, based off of the prior show, whenever there's somebody drawn, whether it's in the background or a scene, or when they're running, crashing into each other or whatever, if they're in the intro, they're in the show. So like how everybody was trying to think that Mephisto was going to be in
Right.
the Scarlet or WandaVision or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
No, Mr. Sinister, I'm pretty sure 100% is going to be in this, which
Yeah.
is very Jean and Scott heavy, and with the clone and all that kind of stuff, like you were talking about. So
yeah. So, bottom line, good shit, and don't listen to any of the. I just call it internet noise at this point. The internet is just populated with people that got to talk shit about something. I'm a fan of this, but this is why it sucks.
The biggest problem that I have with it is even the people that spread it know it's bullshit. And I for I don't even want to mention his name for real, but like for the Star Wars guy,
oh no, yeah, fuck it, Mike Zero, yeah, all them motherfuckers, but yeah, right.
He like they have to consciously know, like, okay, so if I do a video, and people do, and this is the reason why I'm not good on YouTube or anything for real, is because like if you make a video that's like, for instance, I did a video on the kid at the Chiefs game or whatever with the face paint, and as far as my videos go, that video was on point. So I'm supposed to continuously Captain Marvel this little kid.
Right.
No, I don't want this kid to even have to deal with this. So maybe we should just discuss it, show where his parents are wrong, show where the common thought about this is wrong, make the point, see how ridiculous this is, and move on. Isn't that what they say about all these things? We should move on. So then when we try to, and then we look at the stuff that makes these people popular, they're just harping on the same bullshit every day. And it's at this point ridiculous because it doesn't make any sense, and it just proves to me that, especially when we start talking about the Acolyte, you do not understand what subtext is at all. When people say that they are media illiterate, what that means is let's take real words. I had when teaching my children my oldest sons, I should say, how to read, I would make sure that not only are they saying the words, but they understand what the words are saying. Mm-hmm. So when they read, reading can be fun for you. If you understand what's going on, you want to turn to the next page. So how I teach my kids how to read is obviously make sure they know the words. And then when they do the words, I'll get them to a certain point and then be like, okay, so what did you just read? I know you spent a lot of time trying to do the pronunciations, and you did a great job of the pronunciations. You really got that, 3-syllable word out, and I'm proud of you. So after you got that 3-syllable word out, how did that word fit into the paragraph that you just read? And then they'd kind of spit it back to me. And it took them a minute to get used to it because they just wanted to get through the words. But once they were understanding, oh, these words are saying something, then reading became, oh, Dad, I got through that book. I like how the dinosaur da 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 blah 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 blah. But I really wish that like we could have found out more. And I'm like, but baby, it's just a children's book. Mm-hmm. They're like, well, is there books that are a little bit deeper? Boom, here you go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got another child that I help raise into Harry Potter that way, and Percy Jackson and things such as that. So while you're reading, even if you disagree with the moral of the story or the character arc that this person went on, or because I'm not gonna get to the blatant thing because that's not the point. The blatant thing is oh, there's a black character here, so I don't care about this character at all. Like that's not the point. The point is what character arc is this going through? That character who's black might be having a tough time at a job that they're working at. And they have to figure out how to navigate their job and their happiness and their family. Doesn't that sound like most of you?
Right.
So who cares if the character is black? Who cares if the character is a woman? Who cares if the character is non-binary? I'm pretty sure as a straight guy, you've had or straight people out there that may be listening may have had issues not necessarily with your sexuality, but how to get someone to like you when you think you may be different than them. Like a white guy and a black girl, or a black guy and a Arabic girl, or something like that, with different cultures or whatever. You may have animosity within that as well. So if you see a gay character having animosity within his relationship, but ultimately you can understand the story arc and get past them being gay, then you're becoming literate to the media. But because of all these, and I try not to do it on purpose. It happened, the Star Wars one literally happened on, no, I actually wanted to see, I just wanted to because it popped up, because I thought I took them out of my algorithm. So when it popped up, I wanted to see, like, what are you talking about? How can you say something about this trailer? And obviously it was exactly what I thought it was. But and also just proves that he's a grifter, and the real complaint that they actually have is, I'm media illiterate, and I don't even want to make it ageist, but my illiterate interpretation of the media I'm mad at because of things that I don't like in the world.
Right on.
Which, as far as being woke and woke goes, I would rather listen to the, and what I mean by like this type of woke person is like the most insufferable of woke people. I would rather listen to them, because at least the things that they're talking about are tethered into reality, even though it's insufferable. And like, okay, I get your point, and whatever. But
Yeah.
it's at least tethered to reality, whereas opposed to these things that these people are mad at, rogues, but other people being gay, black characters being, I remember when Bishop came out, that was a controversy. That was the only X-Men comic thing that I knew, because my friend that I would get the comic book information from taught me that day that maybe we shouldn't be friends. So part of the reason why I lost my comic book connection is my biggest comic book friend was this media illiterate type of person that was upset that the comic, I can't remember what it is. I don't know if it's the first issue or not, but it's the issue with Bishop with his long ass hair, and he's got like the gun up to his face, and he got the scar. Bro, I saw that shit. I was like, who is that? What? That's the coolest dude I ever seen in my life. And he was like, oh, why do they have to have this guy in here? Why couldn't he be somebody else? I'm like, what do you mean, why can't he be somebody else? Like, who is he? And then he explained him, like, oh, it's this time traveler, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, so you're upset that he's a time traveler? And he's like, no, because he's black. And I was like, but I'm black. And he's like, but you're cool. And I was like, you know what? I think it's dinner time.
Yeah.
My mom's calling me. I think I got to go home now. And we kind of never really talked to each other after that. So, and then I lost my comic book connection. But that's what I'm saying. You can clearly see that they don't understand what they say they love, which proves to me that I don't even think that where that information is coming from, that people who actually love these titles fall into. But where it originates from, I don't even think they know anything about what this is on purpose. And only trying to push their agenda, which, woke agenda. Okay, you're pushing your agenda as well, which is clear what it is. You're the FOH. And and people who thought they, or who probably understand the text and like it because of the boom boom pow pow, but could fall prey to that message, are starting to believe it, and then making the property or the discussion around it toxic and overwhelming. So then when it comes to me, it's like, oh, here goes John again. Here goes me again. Why aren't we talking about these weirdos? They don't even understand what X-Men is. And I did an information overload over a week, and me and Don here talking about story arcs from the 80s and this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? So why can't these people have that type of conversation? Because they don't understand what is being told to them. And that's okay. But what that means, and what I mean by that's okay is like, that's okay now that we know it. We shouldn't have to, we shouldn't have to beat each other up. What we should
Yeah.
do is then teach you what this is about. So then you can say out loud what your problem is, realize that you literally said a word or a phrase or a bubble or a newspaper blurb or newsletter blurb from the FOH somewhere as an Easter egg, that your thoughts about how these characters make you feel, make you sound exactly like them. And maybe that will help people kind of change their ways. Because even if you're boom, boom, pow, pow, right? 100% completely boom boom pow pow, and you're just like X-Men fighting, these humans that want them to get away. Okay. So once you understand that in real life you sound like those humans, but you root against them in the
Yeah.
media that you read, you might need to think about, introspect. Maybe that's another
Be a
term I
little bit
should
more
use because of the
self-aware.
media, literally. But think within yourself
Yeah.
about why it is you feel the way that you feel about other people, because your heroes are telling our story. In even Scott Summers, even Boy Scouts, prototype, Aryan Caucasian prototype man.
Right. Yeah.
He's us because he's a
Absolutely.
mutant and shoots stuff out of his eyes. So if you relate to him because of this, realize he's this and expand your horizons in your mind to make this media even more outstanding to you. I'm so enamored with X-Men right now. That is where this
Wonderful.
passion is coming from. The show, some of the story arcs that I looked into. Wow. Right in your face. And
Yes, sir.
it's motivating so much, bro. We have to write something. We have to create a world. We have to, because I need to do messaging like this.
Yeah. Hey. Okay.
I need to figure out a way to do this because this is great.
All right. Yeah. I'll have to tell you about my book my book idea at some point. But that's another discussion. But yeah, I'm right there with you. And yeah, we are going to talk about Acolyte here. I guess just before I do, just staying with the X-Men here real quick, and just like you're saying, media literacy. Unfortunately, I'm starting to think that is because the media, at least that covers the part of the things that we
Oh,
love,
of course.
is illiterate themselves. Case in
On
point,
purpose.
yeah, I'll link this article on the comments, but basically, this is something that I open up my browser and boom, this story pops up, and it's Marvel Studios already has an X-Men reboot problem. Now, this show just came out today.
Yeah.
We're trying to get the X-Men into the MCU, so I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? Why are we introducing this negativity already? Because first of all, I guess the biggest problem with this is it's wrong. It's straight up wrong, because the point of this article, and this is written by the senior writer to Screen Rant, Kai Young. Now, little commentary here. He's a senior writer, but he's only worked with them since 2022. Anywho, which
Oh,
is
he's the one that
fine.
gets paid the most.
Yeah. Which is fine. You could be like a shitty website that just does shitty articles and stuff. But I'm just like, I don't know. This one I literally popped up my browser and there it was, like super boosted and legit. So that, I guess that's why
Right.
I have a little
They
ire
wanted you to
toward
see it.
this. Right. So yeah, anyway, that's a telling thing that your senior editor's only been working with you for 2 years. And if you look up his profile, I mean, it's just total poser. But I'm not here to pick on anyone. But yeah, so we have the animated series going right now, and we're eventually going to have them. Well, they're already in the MCU, but some X-Men MCU shit. That's already been done, ladies and gentlemen. That's already been done. Well, Kai, I got to talk to you, Kai, in Screen Rant. It's already been done. First of all, the comic books have been going on since 1963, and during that time, we've had shows, animated shows, we've had movies. So there's always at least two X-Men you know what I'm saying? Like there's always one X-Men thing going, and then if there's a movie and animated show, which has happened several times over the past years, there's you don't have to reboot. Because the point of the article is that because of that, we're going to judge them. We're going to judge them. And that's wrong. We're going to judge them versus each other like that.
Well, then
But,
don't.
well, don't, but we haven't, right? We haven't because listen,
Right.
when, so the X-Men, look at Grant Morrison's comic book run, right? The X-Men movie had just coming out where they were in black leather suits. So if you look at Grant Morrison's new X-Men, what does he do? He puts them in black leather suits. You know, there was never any problem there at all. If we look at X2, right? X2, regarded as by many the best X-Men movie that there has ever been. Now, if you say Deadpool's an X-Men movie, which I kind of do, I don't agree. But if you take Deadpool out, yes, absolutely, X2 is the best X-Men movie. That releases in May of 2023. At the very same time, X-Men Evolution was on. X-Men Evolution ran until October of that year, 2003. So we've got comic book, animated series, movie all going on at the same time. And none of those things no one's ever been like shit on them. People like X-Men Evolution. It's okay. I'm not a big fan, but nonetheless, all of that shit has its fans, and we never compared the three. Wolverine and the X-Men ran from January 2019 to November 2009. X-Men Origins Wolverine releases in May 2009. So again, you're just wrong. So Kai Young, I don't know what kind of shit you're stirring. Well, I guess it's internet shit. I mean, what are you going to do there? But just...
I really truly believe that, especially media outlets, know and are willing to be wrong on purpose in order to get people to come to their website and look at other articles.
Yeah.
I personally understand that tactic. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. Especially from, there was a time when I wish I was successful at this, to be honest with you, because I would have learned a lot more if I would have actually been making money. But I worked with a company that would help small businesses build their SEO on their website, as well as, especially if they're selling products, create a cart on their website that would work. There was something that in 2009, 2010, that it was a small change, but like that was starting to come out that made transactions online like a little bit easier, and he was trying to get in front of it. So, trying to tell small businesses about the new, well, I already got a card on my website. Yes, but we got this thing right here. Like, I don't want to hear about that. That was the problem that I had with it. So that's why I said I wish I was successful, because I would have saw the other end of this. But another thing that we did in order to make money was negotiate online ad prices with ad agencies. And that was weird. I didn't completely understand how that worked, because I didn't really stay much longer. Because I wasn't making any money. I've been there for like almost a month and I ain't making money. So, but the little that I had with it was, they don't care where the ads are. As long as there's people, there may be a 0.001% chance you click on them. That click-through rate makes a certain amount per ad or whatever. So in order for you to get a site where you can then charge more for advertising based off of your clicks, you got to get people to click. And this is something I do, we'll talk about this off mic, but this one specific point on where I'm getting this point from. But when someone says what is right and true based off of history, observation, You know,
Yeah.
it's that's what it is. That's how it works. Nobody wants to hear that shit
Right.
at all. And I don't understand. And then complain that things are messed up. Well, you're complaining about things being messed up because you don't understand how things work in the first place. You're mad at the thing that you're making up because you refuse to understand how things work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to say bullshit. You got to write an article that's completely wrong. I remember I was just coming out of my little homeless time period and was just starting to make moves, just starting to feel confident that I was going to start streaming again. So I was trying to build my J100 back up. And I had did a Instagram video about an article about Final Fantasy VII remake that people were complaining about Barrett's voice. Who?
Right.
So
Yeah.
then you read the article and they go, "Well, I've never played the original Final Fantasy VII." Then
Right.
why the fuck am I reading this article right now?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, man. There's a lot
I
of
clicked it. So it's my
yeah.
fault.
Yeah.
I just helped you get paid.
Yep.
And you saying this bullshit. So then if I were to sit there and say, oh, nobody has a problem with Barrett's voice because Barrett's voice isn't that bad. Barrett's voice sounds culturally correct. And then on top of that, for who's Barrett's character is, I don't give a fuck what his voice sounds like. He's an amazing person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who cares what his voice sounds like? I might have cared if he was a stereotypical and a shitty person, sure,
Yeah.
but Barrett is one of the most important characters in this whole damn story. So, and he's a great person, so I don't really care about that part. And that's what I'm talking about. Now, if I had wrote an article, I wouldn't be able to write an article because I wouldn't be saying any bullshit like that. And then that's where you start to understand. Oh, it's hard to beat what the algorithm, aka people, say that they want because everybody makes the same shit. But I don't have a video to make except for a review to talk positively. Because
Yeah.
once you talk positively, you've gotten the point. This is good. You should look at it and come up with your own interpretation. All right, bye. See you later.
Yeah, that's true as
That's it.
shit. Yeah.
Everyone was fed today. Here on the news, everyone was fed. Everyone has a house. All the children went to school. There was no war today. All right, good evening. Like that's what the news
Yeah.
can be. But we don't want that shit. You want to hear that the thugs over on the south side shut up the dudes from the old block. Like you want to hear that, I guess.
Yeah.
You want I mean, I'm even thinking about Captain Marvel. I was thinking about Captain Marvel today because I've never saw any of those videos and I don't understand that mindset. I really need someone to break it down for me because I'm not going to watch those videos. But what's the problem? I don't, because she's a woman. Outside of that, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm illiterate to your illiteracy. I don't understand how you can say how any of your arguments could be about anything else besides the fact that she's a woman and said that women should get paid more or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
understand that mindset because that's what they do, man. Is they decide because they did it with, and we're gonna transition to Star Wars here because they did that shit
Yeah.
with Moses Ingram. Like, they just decide for whatever fucking reason, there's nothing to do with them. Okay, I don't like this. I don't like this actress because she says she's not here to impress guys. Oh,
And she's impressive. What you talking about?
oh, that bitch. You
She don't
know,
gotta impress me, but I am impressed.
right? Yeah, exactly. So that's all. That with the Captain Marvel shit, man. They just decided that they don't like that Brie Larson chick, and so they're just the Mike Zeros of the world, the geeks and gamers, the neurotics, the people. Why do you even fucking put nerds or games in your goddamn? You're not a gamer. You're not a nerd. You're a shit stirrer. So just fucking do it. I don't know why. I shouldn't even know you exist. If you didn't have nerd in your fucking name, I wouldn't know you exist. Um.
And they
So
get paid and they get views and they get subscribers.
yeah,
And so then people want to copy that. Why sit in algorithm purgatory like us, to
Yeah,
be
that's
honest?
it. Yeah, yeah.
Why sit in purgatory like us
We've
when
got
you can
100
just do what everybody
views.
else is
All
doing?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. And it's one of those things that I've always said, even as a podcaster back in 2012. Um, I don't care about the views because the way that the pay structure and YouTube and all the other stuff was completely different back then. So I didn't really see, there wasn't really the biggest mistake that I made was I never put it, I didn't put everything on YouTube. And then when I lost my files due to fucking me and hard drives have a terrible history.
You and me both,
Um,
man.
I lost everything, and then it could have just been on YouTube, but that was my mistake. But regardless of that, like you grow, the whole game back then was to get sponsors, and it didn't really matter your views or whatever. You could get downloads, and at my height, bro, I was getting tens of thousands of downloads a week,
Wow. Yeah.
and you know, I was realizing that, oh, kind of stay with these themes or whatever. But then I did notice that whenever I get a little too deep or trying to be a little too factual, because the only reason why I'm being factual, remember, what was it? The TPP, some economic thing from the Obama era. It was
Oh,
it
yeah, the
was like
Trans-Pacific Trade.
partnership,
Yeah.
correct? So that's important.
Yeah.
And that's important to know what that is and how it worked and what they were trying to accomplish and what was changed and what is law now, if you will, and what wasn't and
Yeah.
what's still trying to be. And so when you break that down, oh, how do I listen to this? But you have to. So when you want to complain about why you don't have money, you understand how your economy works. Like
Yeah.
what? Why don't you want to know that? So even then, I was like, when I realized, hey, you're not going to get views saying what it really is, then I don't care about the views because somebody's got to say what it really is. And the biggest thing about it is I take a like Democracy Now. I have been subscribed or a fan of Democracy Now since like 2000 and like 5, 6 when I was
Oh,
like
wow.
18, 19.
Yeah, I was working at GameStop.
Yeah, right. And so to see them in algorithm purgatory
Yeah.
and for them to just now be a their YouTube presence is where it's at now. Like that's because they hung in there and stuck in there and for myself personally, for my public internet brand or whatever, that's probably what I should just continue to do. Just keep doing it, and eventually it'll grow back. But it's exhausting for the return that I'm going to get on it for what I'm trying to accomplish in my life right now. So maybe
Yeah.
that's something I do in the future, but I'm not worried about that. For this and for others, being in view purgatory means that you're not going to get paid. And the thing that's so crazy to me is, why is it that deep dive, highly researched, logical, factual things that sure may be boring, um, are the things that get banned and get have the algorithm, shadow ban you or cut
Yeah.
you off or give you the least amount of ad revenue for those topics than other topics that are actually harmful and are lies and are bullshit. Like these are the things we don't talk about the media. Sure. So if you understand what's being said to you, you understand the topic, you understand the geographical location or the strife between the residents of the county and your state, then when you hear news articles, you can tell when they're lying to you or not. You can tell if you're getting information. Like I just I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I
It's
I and that's why I think guys like us or outlets like us don't have the resources to do the things that everybody else does is
yeah, for
because
sure.
they are able to grift and
Yeah.
farm off that bullshit when they got to know it's bullshit. Let's talk about the Acolyte because us talking about the Acolyte is going to expose exactly what we've just been talking about this whole time.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you because so the Acolyte, right? The trailer came out and we see a lot of
Mm,
cool shit.
mm.
Um but yeah, like the biggest complaint that I've seen of it is that it breaks canon. Which and
What?
we talked about this. Like people latch onto fucking lines like, okay, somehow Palpatine returned, right? So now it's Kiara. Oh, the Sith have been extinct for a millennia. So now they're saying that this trailer breaks that canon. So two things before you go, sir, because two things.
I didn't
Kiara
even know
Mundi's a
that
big,
one.
yeah, Kiara Mundi's a big piece of shit. Okay, number one. So who gives a fuck what he says? But number two, there's nothing in this trailer that suggests any of these fucking Jedi survive long enough to go to the Jedi Council and say, "Oh, by the way, we just fought a Sith." But there's this huge fucking complaint. They're saying that it breaks canon, and it just simply doesn't. Not at all. None of these Jedi, like, yeah. So go,
Darth
but
Plagueis. I win. I win. Debate is over.
there you go.
Darth Bane. I win. It's over. It's over.
Yeah,
Debate, well, but it wasn't flashy. I didn't dunk on you. So that's how they those type of people judge it. No, debate is over. Darth Plagueis. Rule of two. Hiding in the shadows.
right.
You're done. Arguments already. That one is. I'm triggered.
Yeah, I don't know. We saw one flat. Okay, we saw a red lightsaber. We saw that through the lightsaber. But
So
yeah,
so does this truly mean that people? I mean, and we know this. We know the answer to this, but do people truly not understand what they read and watch?
I don't know because again, along with the complaint that I just named, sure, there's the standard. Oh my God, it's woke because there's so many black little Jedis there that shouldn't be, and it's like, are you fucking serious? This is Star Wars. Like in the same trailer that you see a Wookiee Jedi, whatever that little fucking creature was there, we're gonna hear about there's too many females and black people.
What did they think the Jedi Order
Yeah,
was?
yeah.
Did you not play the MMO? Did you did you not play Knights of the Old Republic? They had everybody because it's for every.
There's Hut
Okay,
Jedi. There's Hut Jedi. You're gonna complain that
right, bro. Like it's everybody. I,
that's kind of the whole thing right now is we're going from this, at least
but
in the
see, but
sequels,
see, but
light
D,
and
but
dark.
D, listen, they're telling on themselves,
Yeah,
and this is why I get in trouble because I'm sick of playing their stupid fucking game. I know what you're saying. Stop speaking in this code that you don't think that I'm. It's like what? That guy knows. That guy doesn't know English. Yes, fluently. My lexicon is quite large, so I hear you, and I'm really great at subtext. So you're telling on yourself. People have said it, and then they have their complaints or whatever. But woke, when the weirdos say it, just equals black, gay, or a woman. And let's take the black and the gay out to make this even reduce it a little bit, right?
sure.
But still drive the point. If you hate women, grow up. Like I don't. It doesn't matter because it doesn't matter what race of woman it is. They just don't like women
Yeah,
to be acting in their shows, to have powers, to have leadership, to have boobs or not boobs, or I don't know, that they're weird about that one too. That's going back and forth. I'm confused. So just say you hate women and then we can ignore you. And when you say woke, instead of saying woke, just say you hate the LGBTQIA plus community and then we can ignore you. But then the thing about it is where they're getting that from are people in power who are then getting paid to spew these things and to cause this panic and to create these bills and to make these laws and to foment this anger in political ads or political commentary or then on top of that, where that money is coming from are from these corporations, right? Then these corporations will make the ad revenue on the people that are using woke for black and women and LGBTQIA plus. They make the ad revenue on their page skyrocket for their videos because they get eyeballs on it. But then when we're speaking the same thing, they're not even going to show it to people and give us the lowest amount of ad revenue. So it's incentivizing saying the bullshit.
Right.
But it's bullshit. There are black people in the world. There are people of color in the world. There are gay and lesbian and queer and non-binary and trans and all the other stuff in the world. And they're here and they have stories. And they're going to be in your universe because your universe, especially when you expand it. So I was thinking about that too. 1977, I understand that especially for a 1977 sci-fi movie, I understand that the world wasn't built. I understand that the politics weren't drawn out.
Right.
I understand that the locales weren't, diverse as far as like using Tatooine 5 billion times.
Right.
But as you've grown it, listening to them making the Empire Strikes Back, they didn't even think that they were even going to get that far. So now they got to come up with shit.
Right.
And then they get a third movie. Now you got to come up with some more shit. So they were like, okay, we're done. But you wanted more. So now they got to come up with some more shit. And the thing about it is George Lucas has always said from the beginning, I'm basing this off of real world stuff.
Yep,
so
true.
Understanding that, especially during the time period where this group was at the height of its powers, meaning it had hundreds of thousands, if not millions of members, you think they all white dudes?
Right.
And a couple of aliens sprinkled in? You're telling on yourself. And so the argument that we need to have, which is why they end up not debating me, this is the reason why I want to do it so bad. The argument that we're actually having is, you're a scared bigot. So what do we do from now? What do we do from here? That's what they're afraid of. You hear it in the FOH. You hear it in real life. You hear it in these dudes talking about Star Wars, because if you understood Star Wars, you're the Empire. So I don't even know why you give a damn who is in whatever anyway, because you're a peon in the Empire. You're supposed to be doing what you're told. So shut up and listen to your Empire, bitch.
Right.
Or your Emperor.
Yeah.
So you don't have thought. That's what you would be in this universe. Because you would see a black fucking Jedi and be like, I don't want to do this shit no more. Like, that's what y'all would do.
Right.
So where you gonna go? You're gonna be with them. Who realistically, again, people I guess don't understand the human versus droids or human versus clone or human versus whatever are usually allegories of racial things.
Mm-hmm.
So if guys who don't understand this, if he was using the United States and not Germany, you can see what he's trying to say about what the Empire is. But if you don't have media literacy, all you see is they put a black eye in my movie. Mm-hmm. And that statement right there, just break that down. I don't think people are breaking the words that they're saying down. That's why they're upset. Well, I can't say what I want to say anymore. Do you understand what you're even saying when you say it? Yeah, we don't want to hear that shit because you think it's coded and it's not.
Right.
The old lady, when I was buying cars. There was this one old lady I walked, and bless her heart, this was a great old lady, and she was really, really old. So like, I definitely understood where she was coming from. So I had to play the two brain game. But when I walked up to her door, she was like, "You're the one buying cars?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, looks me up and down. Well, good for you.
Oh boy.
We all know what that means.
Yeah. Right.
We know what that means, ma'am. Great lady. I understand. Like, we had great interactions. You know, I love dealing with older customers, right? Because you always learn some things. But that's what I'm saying. Let's grow past this one, guys.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, the trailer, because I don't do trailers. So if you're gonna have me do the trailer, I mean, wow, so much. I like where they are time period wise,
Yeah.
which makes me want to think about why they're choosing this time period. Maybe it's because of this acolyte. And we'll obviously learn more as we go. But I want to know my biggest gripe, if you will, with the Jedi is like, how did they really get this arrogant? And in some of the Easter eggs and breakdowns I was taking a look at, they were talking about the colors of their robes and things such as this. And even thinking about how our fashion works and fashion and things such as that. A lot of fashion, whether we know it or not, is, well, maybe not here in America, but in other places, is obviously due to the conditions that they're in, right?
Mhm.
And so when you see the Jedi with their, you know, white and golden robes with the, you know, designs and
Yeah.
this and using the force to open the doors and, you know, being separated from the Republic, which I think this whole thing is what made them ingratiate themselves in the Republic. But um you know, I want to see how what we have been told was a peaceful time and things, small things were being quelled here and there, right? Well, kind
Yeah.
of like the typical world or the world I want, right? How that can go from there to where we see it at, especially with the Jedi. That's what I got out of the trailer. And then as far as the dark side character, I definitely want to see her arc, because when explaining it to my friend who is new to the series or franchise, I the way I saw it was because I was trying to explain to her, because I was watching the Zero video, and I was trying to explain to her why people are upset with Kathleen Kennedy, which I don't even think they know who Kathleen Kennedy is, that she's just a woman.
Yeah.
And so they're just mad at her because she's a woman making Star Wars. But if you know who Kathleen Kennedy is, that's George Lucas, bitch. That's
Right on.
George Lucas.
Yeah. Nowadays, yeah.
You want to know, oh, George wouldn't like this. Who's leading this here? The Kathleen Kennedy? Oh, that's George Lucas. So yes, that's exactly what he wants. Um, but explaining that, but then as I was explaining, you know, people not understanding subtext, I was looking at the character as, say you were a Jedi or someone who really wanted to be a Jedi, especially the younglings in this time of peace, right? And you tried hard and you worked hard and you did this and you're doing all this and you can't get your kyber crystal. How that would make you feel? You feel like a failure. But then you have the ability to be good at something, but this good at something is the antithesis of what you grew to, that you wanted, the thing that you wanted to be so good at, that actually is the cause of the peace that you have, right? How that confliction, where that conflict. So when Luke says, I feel the conflict within you, it isn't, oh, they said dark side, I want to be with power than Padme. No, it's not that. It's this. It's this complex type of character thought, this complex type of character strife and conflict. That are the things that when we say, oh, life is hard, these are the things in life that should be hard. I have the ability to, I know that I have the strength and ability to be good if I put good at being good, if I put my mind to it. But I found an easier path
Right on. Yep.
that actually I'm being a pawn being used. This whole conversation was spurred off of a minute and 30-second ad. I'm seeing a character in probably, 20, 30 seconds of it. This is what I'm able to infer off of this character. I ain't even get to the point that she's black yet. And then she's black.
Right.
You see what I mean? So that's kind of why I don't do trailers, because now I got this little bit of headcanon in my head. And not
Right.
necessarily that I'm expecting anything, because I try to let that go once I'm watching the show. But that's why I don't want it in the first place. I want to just jump into the world and feel what they're feeling through real time. But seeing the trailer, that's what I got off of just that one character.
Yeah.
Let alone Carrie Ann Moss. Boy, you got my Trinity.
Right. Yep. We got Trinity. I mean, I'm sure that's not going to be her name, but yeah. Yep. Yeah. Looking like she's going to be
If I ever
obviously.
met her, I'd be like, listen, so if we get married, can I call you Trinity?
Yeah. I wonder how she'd be receptive to that.
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting because, like you said, it's kind of more of a peacetime. One thing that I noted is, well, we got the blue lightsabers, we got the green lightsabers, we got the yellow lightsabers. So you just don't see that a whole lot. So it's nice to see that. But you saw a lot more Jedi being together than we saw, in the prequels and obviously the originals and sequels. So they're definitely at more of a heightened power. So that's cool to see. That'll be interesting to see how that develops. But from everything that I've heard and read, this has not been confirmed, but this is supposed to be 2, possibly 300 years before like A New Hope. Or no, the prequels. Sorry, the prequels.
Prequels, yeah.
Which means we should see a younger, not young, but a younger Yoda.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see that. And yes, like, who is the Acolyte? Obviously, I think it's this girl, but who's the master?
Right.
Now, if this truly is 300 years before the prequels, then it's not going to be Palpatine, but it could certainly be Plagueis, just like you said. I think Plagueis is going to be the Sith master here. But yeah, I can't wait.
The Plagueis or the dude before Plagueis?
It's got to be somewhere in there.
I think Plagueis would be too on the nose, to be honest with you. So from me, if I were to have a hope, I would hope that it would be the guy before Plagueis.
Yeah, and there's also a novel out, a Plagueis novel out. So it would make sense, like you said, for them not to be that on the nose, because then there could, you have the continuity nerds, which I am. But you could have the comparisons or have to stick to that continuity and may not necessarily want. Maybe this leads into Plagueis,
Right.
Um,
Leads into Plagueis realizing that what you really need to do is get the Jedi to be connected to the Republic and then cause political strife to start a war. And then that's what he taught Palpatine, and Palpatine used the information to do it. That's what I think.
Yep. Just took it
And that's
over.
and that's a great story.
Yeah. Yeah, he had all this shit planned out, but then one night he's just like, well, I think I'll turn in.
Yeah. I think I'll turn in and have Palpatine. And then it's I kind of not hope, but I would like it to be, I don't think it's going to be a human though.
Plagueis?
No, not Plagueis, whoever the master is.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's going to be a human.
Well, if it was Plagueis, he's not human. I can't remember what he's got the bigger heads. I know what it is, but I can't remember. At this time, I cannot remember. But yeah, I could see that. Absolutely, I could see that. I don't know, because that's funny, because the Sith the Sith are not really space Nazis. I'm not saying they're good. I'm just saying they're not
No,
speciesist.
no, they're just evil. The Empire space Nazis.
Yeah, the Empire. It's just funny that the Sith control the Empire, but the Sith really, you know, they're not like that. I'll have to research that more because I'm just as I'm thinking right here, I'm like, where did that whole like speciesist part of the Empire come from?
So the Sith feed off of the off of darkness.
Yeah,
So it would make sense that if they would be in charge and had of in charge of the galaxy, if you will, that the political structure that they would have would be fascism.
yeah,
One, because that structure falls right in line with how um the empire works. So what made the empire fall apart? I'm sorry, not the empire, the Sith.
Well, originally they fought each other, and that's why the
Correct.
rule of two
So
came.
what ultimately is the problem with the empire?
They'll fight each other.
They fight each other all the
Yeah,
time. And they fight each other all the time for supremacy because they want to be the most supreme. Well, and the problem with fascism in and of itself is there is always not going to not be an enemy. If that makes sense. I tried to do
yeah,
the double negative
right,
correct, but there's always going to be an enemy until there is no one. Until there is just one. There can only be one pure because nothing is pure.
right,
So that's why the ideology doesn't make any sense. But that's why it makes sense for the Sith to be the rule of two, to have somebody with power and someone who wants it. Because if you have everybody that does it that way, it's not going to work. So if you have a political structure within your galaxy that has, probably zillions, whatever's after trillions of people, there's just going to be negative dark energy all around. So no matter what the fuck happens, you're able to be powerful around the bullshit.
right.
So I think that Palpatine was like, and then just took Plagueis's idea and did it himself to, I mean, almost perfection, except for him
Yeah,
cloning himself. I think that was part of the plan too. Had to have been because he's the reason why Sifo-Dyas and Dooku were all involved in the clone program in the first place. So yeah,
right.
that was his whole thing. So I mean, yeah, I think what we need to for content, right? If you want TikToky real, TikToky or Instagram reel or Facebook reel content, what we should do is turn a day into a hotline and have people come in and argue lore with us. So then what we can then do is get better at the lore ourselves. That's ultimately why I would want to do it on the back end, right?
Mm-hmm.
My boom boom pow pow story has a
right,
has a story in it, right? But then at the same time, also for myself, selfishly, I want to hear out of their mouth how media literate they are. But then also, what we would be doing is help people get media literacy. I don't know how you can see for the people. So for all the weirdos that complain about the canon, I mean the Legends lore being erased when Disney bought Lucasfilm,
right,
it's all back in. So what are you complaining about?
right. Yeah, that's true. It's very true.
For all the people that complain about the wokeness or whatever, bro, this is a galaxy with there's you saw aliens, my guy. Like,
Right,
if anything, you should be bigoted towards the aliens. Oh, you're gonna put another aliens in my Star Wars movie? Like, that makes more sense than being upset that there's a black dude holding a lightsaber
yeah,
and you're just telling on yourself. So we need to break down these fans, quote unquote, and separate the fans from the non-fans, get rid of the non-fans, and help the fans actually understand what they're watching. Because I don't think they get it, bro. and it'd be good content, and it'd be debates, and we can chop it up and maybe grow that way. Because I don't get it. I dare a Ben Shapiro type argue with me about the lore of Star Wars. I
Right.
dare you. I want it. I would love to, because I would honestly, for as long-winded as I can be, I would shut the fuck up for as long as possible to let someone like that break down from the High Republic era to the sky. I just want to hear how you view this world. I will shut up. But then when I'm done, when you
Yeah.
done, it's my turn.
What would that sound like? So J100. Let me tell you. So when we first introduced to Star Wars, Mon Mothma. See, she's not a general. She's she's in the battle plan phase.
She's a part of the corruption that's in the Senate because she's using her money to fund terrorist activities. So how are you supposed to fund the terrorism for your republic when you're using the money for terrorism against your own republic? So she's the problem. She's the right winger in this case. Bro, you do not understand what you're watching. The Republic is already the Empire. She's funding the resistance to what the thing is going to turn into, because it's turned into it as soon as you made Palpatine Emperor.
Right on. Yep.
I mean, I'm sorry, Chancellor.
Yeah. I made a joke about that.
And I think a good way to start that off is I hope they still watch, because even if I get into it with someone, that doesn't mean that I don't want you to engage in our content, and that doesn't mean that I don't like you. That doesn't mean any of that. If you're going to argue and I see where you're coming from, I'm gonna put you in your place, because I know what you're trying to say without saying it. Like, just say it, and then we can discuss what you actually feel instead of trying to gaslight me and all these other things. Like, you do, it's so much harder. It's so much harder to have a conversation with these people that use this mental gymnastics to just hide what they're actually trying to say than to just say it so we can talk about that.
Yeah.
But they know they're wrong. So then stop thinking that way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. So I say that to say that, like, this week, especially because I'm starting soon. What is it? The 20 I start in 10 days. So this week I'm going to make maybe make a video and send it to you. But I don't want to chop it up and find clips and all the other shit. I hate that shit. I hate editing. But anyway, I'm going to do a breakdown of the Final Fantasy IV story and like how weird it actually is. So then we can discuss that, like, yes, I understand that this 1991-2 game gave this great story in this like basic way, but then when you break it down, it's weird as fuck when you actually put subtext into it. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. Now I'm forgetting names, but what's his name? The Paladin. He was Cecil, yeah. Cecil was working with King Baron, and then he was a Dark Knight, and then he became a Paladin, and then the old man, used his magic to sacrifice, and the young children gave up their lives to make the story. Like, yes, I get that. But even in a basic story like that, there's still subtext, and there's still ways that we interpret it based off of the time period that we're in, all this time period that they were in, all that kind of stuff like that. So I'm going to break that down, and I'm going to challenge I don't even really call it a debate. I challenge a heated discussion with that guy in the comment section that wanted to go back and forth on that. And maybe we can start it that way, honestly, because I guarantee you, if you heard that writer, he got that writer on to explain why he wrote what he wrote in that Screen Rant article, and I was moderating, and it was your go, you tear him, not even tear him because we're using like, sports terms or whatever, but you tear him a new asshole. You know what I mean? But what I mean by that is you break the lore down and break the history of comic book movies and like all this other stuff to show that like you're just saying bullshit for clicks.
Right.
So why would you do that? And we're having a heated discussion with you for clicks, but the clicks are to show how ridiculous you look, which is not my intention, but you did that yourself. And then actually teach people about the lore and the subtext, and maybe even learn something ourselves. Like maybe their media
Maybe.
illiteracy will teach me something about the universe that I'd never seen from that point of view. I doubt it, but like it might be there. I'm
Yeah.
willing to have that discussion.
Yep. Right on. Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, anyone that is watching this video or watching any one of our videos, and maybe I'll just make a video about this challenge. Yeah, we'll definitely have to get something up. But if you want to debate John or I on Star Wars lore, or if it's being too woke, or the X, well, no, don't,
I'll do the
don't.
woke one.
Right. Well,
I got
just
it.
don't come to me and talk. I want to debate X-Men wokeness because okay, go ahead, but don't. But go ahead.
Right. I get what
Um,
you're saying. Then you're gonna have to talk to me.
um, right. Like, you know, yeah, you're going up against some heavy weaponry there, but whatever. If you want to do it, let's do it.
Hey man.
We'll get it done here. So
What
I
Harry
think that's an
Cavill
interesting.
saying? What I forgot. Mission Impossible 4.
Right. Hey, right. Yeah. Well, arm cocks. All right. Well, it's getting late for me, so I think we're good to go. I know we will both watch the Bad Batch, but it was only one episode, and nothing too. I mean, the biggest thing that came out of the Bad Batch, real quick. I mean, obviously it was an enjoyable episode. It always is. But they worked with Fennec Shan, and so Fennec Shan's because they helped Fennec Shan, she's going to help them find some information. But she reported about them to somebody, and so it's big speculation. Ooh, who did she report to? So a lot of people were saying Asajj Ventress. I don't know if I've seen evidence, but okay, I won't poo-poo it. It could make sense. But
I
good
think
stuff.
that uh Finnick is they're setting up her anti-hero arc.
Hmm.
The
Yeah,
problem with it is what we see in the Mandalorian is 25 years, and Book of Boba Fett is 25 years after this. So it takes her a long time to really become
yeah,
an anti-hero. But I think that this was like her thieves honor among thieves
right on.
type
Yeah,
of, you know what I mean? Like even though we live in this fucked up world, and this is the easy way and best way for my skills to survive and make a living, I still have morals and a conscience about things. That's what I'm thinking.
yeah,
But I don't know. It's Star Wars, so we'll see.
yep. We will see. All right, well, good stuff. Well, hey, if you've made it to this point of the video, please like and subscribe, comment, particularly if maybe you want to debate or have something to say against what we've been saying. Any sort of engagement like that really helps us. I mean, we need to get to 100 subscribers at this point, and just so I could at least customize the URL. But so please, if you could, you enjoyed the content, or even if you didn't, it doesn't matter. If you could just subscribe, like, and all that would really help us out.
Slowly getting there. I mean, it's
Yeah,
incremental, but like I said, uh, I'm the way that we talk about comics, I think is what hides us. And we don't throw woke and say stupid shit for an hour and a half. We actually try to talk about the lore and what
yeah,
the what's happening and what we think is going to happen based off of what's happening instead of
yeah.
making up shit.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the whole reason I podcast. Although I don't know if I could call this a podcast anymore because I'm not paying the podcasting fees because you can just put the video, everything on YouTube for free, and we
Right.
don't make shit. So I mean, I don't know if you're really one of those people that miss us audio only. I don't know. Help me out here. But I really did want to do this because although there's a video component to it, I'm a guy that I work in an office. Well, now I work from home. But even working from home, like one of the things that help you get through your day, your task is just like listening to somebody really talk deeply about some shit that you love.
Right.
Really say some informative shit to you that you're like, oh, I didn't know that, or oh boy, so that's what I've always wanted to be, and hey, that's probably not going to make me a rich YouTuber or nothing, and that's okay. Again, I just want to just be something interesting for somebody to listen to, while maybe they're doing something that's not so interesting. So, and yeah, I'm not willing to just do the whole woke 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 woke. I mean, I'm a heterosexual white guy. I could probably do that all day. Just peruse Google on, hey, what's the next thing that Brie Larson says that I can just fucking say, rail about, or, whatever. Or, I can't remember her name. Tatiana Maslany. What's the next thing she says that'll piss me off?
Oh yeah, right.
And I can, amplify for other incels and people that hate women because they've never been inside one. Yeah. So,
Right.
we could do that, but that's not what I want to be. I just want to be someone that talks with another interesting person that can add just interesting shit to stuff that you love. And so there we have it. So that's who
And
we are.
I'm the same way, man. That's why I watch as much YouTube as I do, is because, especially for stuff that I don't know, and being on here, I want to fill in those gaps. And for the you're in the comic book realm, so especially when we started the show in the first place, I felt a little intimidated because I know of comic stuff, but like I didn't really live that life. But um um all you really have to do in that world is find out about it or know of it, and then someone will tell you. You know what I mean? Then you'll learn. And I've learned so much about these properties that I've liked, for reasons why I like them, for reasons why I relate to them, reasons why I was fans of them, and in watching the media that I was watching, that it makes me really look into the deeper part of their characters and stuff.
Yeah.
So being able to then take that information that I've learned, and give it right back to the community the way that the community gives it right back, as long as you're cool, um is great, especially being in kind of like a comic book newbie, if you will, to be able to be in that space. So I feel you on that. And sometimes, especially when we do talk about the deepness of people's characters and the subtext and things like that, it's going to intersect with um, my worldview, which is insufferable to a lot of people. And at this point, I'm getting to the point where I need to get to the point of this ideology that complains about everything.
Yeah.
Because in our media, it's not going to help for what comes out of it. And in our world, it's not going to help because of what comes out of it. And then probably it'll help me make our game or our book or whatever,
Yeah.
understanding where they're really coming from, because I don't get it at all whatsoever. I'm like, I get it on the surface, but I don't get it deeper than that. And so I just want to be somebody that's a superhero in the superhero community. If we were to be wearing masks, we would be fighting for the woke. That's what we would be doing. That's what all of these heroes have always done in any comic that I've ever seen, even the Punisher in his own way. So uh, uh, that's what I'm trying to do. And people can get mad or put us in the bowels of the algorithm or whatever, but this media will be here. And when somebody wants to click on it and look back at the time capsule of the world, or look at it now, they can see people that were fighting to understand what was being told to them, and then try to use that understanding to help people understand the things around them that the media was based off of. So let's grow it, let's make it bigger. That's why I'm trying to figure out some new stuff for us.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it. Help us out, guys. So be here next episode, or enjoy my Chrono Trigger playthrough. Either way, until next time, we'll see you next on the Omega Level Nerds.